Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Perception Paradox. This is Jivilla, and today we're up for another episode. It's already March, guys, so spring is here. And yeah, I hope you're getting into the spring mood. And today, my guest is Dirk Ploss, and Dirk is an experienced creative manager and futurist with a background in marketing, e-commerce, and innovation management. And he is also a serial entrepreneur. He founded 4 companies. 2 of them failed miserably. Also multiple book author. And I would say he's a very, very good storyteller. So his speaking experiences include keynotes and talks at international renowned conferences. And yeah, his talks are famous for insights, inspiration, and entertainment. And overall, Dirk is very well known within innovation field. He is very knowledgeable both within startups and corporates. So you're up for a treat with this episode. We're gonna touch base on innovation of his founder journey and the power of that idea. So tune in. Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Jivilla, and welcome to Perception Paradox. So, Dirk, good to see you. Welcome to Perception Paradox.
Thanks for having me.
How is your Monday so far?
It's good. Also, the weather is fine. A lot of exciting meetings ahead, besides this one, of course. And also planning to hit the gym in the evening. So, yeah, set up for a good Monday.
Okay, it sounds like a good setup, especially that we're in this call. So, for the ones who don't know, with Dirk, we met during Tech Chill, the conference which is happening every year in Riga in Latvia, which connects the Baltic Nordic scene. They're much focused on the Baltic. So that's where we met back in, I think it was just before COVID hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2019 or something.
It was the last conference everyone attended before the lockdown. And yeah, what I do recall, I think Dirk was standing in the hallway of Tech Chill, and I was walking with my friend Andrews from Baltic Sandbox. And they were like, oh, I think I just wanted to say hi to this man. I was like, hi, how are you? What brought you to Tech Chill? And then we started talking. And I recall this one factor at you being a very good communicator. And then your LinkedIn afterwards shouting out, online since 1985. So I was like, whoa, that's been quite a while. So anyway, Dirk is a thought leader in innovation, super inspiring person. And yeah, so please tell us,
Yeah,
Dirk,
thank you.
how you found your face? Yeah.
It's actually really true that I have been online since 1985. And this, of course, has led to something, because if you remember, that was pre-internet time. Yeah? So we only had a self-built modem, which we had to attach with a landline telephone. So then we had an amazing bandwidth of roughly 300 bits per second. My cell phone today has 10 billion bits per second bandwidth. And that, of course, has led for me to the realization that we are actually really inside already the steep part of an exponential curve. This always has somehow accompanied me, always trying to find out what new technologies might be good for. How can we use them? How will they affect our business, our work, our travels, meeting new people, everything like that. So that is kind of the red threads throughout my personal professional history.
So you just saw this opportunity in technology and just dived into it?
Well, yeah, it was a bumpy ride at times. Because I tried different things, I founded 4 different startups. 2 of them failed miserably. One because I suck at technology. Second one because I put all eggs in one basket. And when my biggest client left, of course, that left me with 60,000 euros costs per month, which I couldn't just keep up any longer. So, but the third one I could sell to a large corporate in Germany. And the fourth one even was one that, vanished via an acqui-hire into another large e-commerce company. I was there and then had a nice and decent career there until I came to the spot where I was no longer able to do a good job. So one promotion too much, the Peter principle.
Uh-huh.
After that, another deep dive into a smaller startup in the e-learning sector. And yeah, since almost 10 years now, I'm with a large skincare company called Bayersdorf. So we first in the e-commerce sector there, then built the startup scouting. This is when we met.
Yeah,
So corporate venture capital activity was one of the things that I built, switched to innovation management. And now I'm in early innovation management. And that is just perfect because there's just a huge playground. And my job literally is to dive into emergent digital technologies and find out what can we do with them. So
yeah.
it's literally playing what I'm going to be paid for.
Wow. Okay. So before we jump into this innovation and technology,
Mhm.
I still want to touch base on your previous careers. You've mentioned about multiple businesses you founded, and then it seems like you kind of went through quite a patch of failures as well. And
Oh
you
yeah,
know, when it comes to humanity, we're afraid to fail. We're afraid of getting into debts. We're afraid of losing things. So, and you're from Germany, right?
yeah, yeah.
Tell me how someone coming from the country with so much calculated risk, so much security, had the courage to fail and to go against the regular system, and what helped you along the way with your mindset? Because it does require a lot of resilience. It does require thinking outside the box, being super stubborn, and actually having that last hope for the universe that is going to work out. So, what
Yes.
made you actually go for it?
So I think the major part of my personality that drove me to do all of this is my endless curiosity. So I'm just genuinely interested in everything, what's happening, what's developing. And then, of course, I have this scanner personality. So I always keep on getting new impulses and I have to follow them. Oh, look, a squirrel. Yes, you know that. And then, of course, it's if you try new things, failure is imminent. So if you want to prevent failure, you can only do what worked in the past. And that has never been mine because I get bored very easily. And so this is why I love to design new processes, but I don't love following existing processes, which of course, yeah, leads to a lot of conflict, especially in a country like Germany, where I'm from. The Germans love rules, yeah, and they love following rules, and also they are very risk averse, yeah. So this is what made it pretty hard for me to find finally an environment where actually this is appreciated that I'm the way that I am. So part of my job is more seen through a scientific lens. So you see a new technology, you put up a hypothesis, then you put that hypothesis to the test. And if that test fails, it's not a failure. It's just a result of an experiment that you have. This is, I think, the mindset that somebody who is an entrepreneur or so has to develop. Not think about a negative outcome as a failure. Of course, you don't always learn from failures as well. You can repeat the same damn mistake 100 times and still have learned nothing. But you can learn if you start reflecting on your failures and why it didn't work out. So every time I crashed a startup or an idea or something, I sat down and really tried to be totally honest with myself. Okay, what did I do wrong? What didn't turn out the way that I thought it might turn out? And then this ultimately leads eventually to resilience. Keep on trying and trying and trying until you figured out something, and then you hop on to the next time. That's why I always say breakthrough innovation, for example, is usually not done by experts in their fields. It's done by beginners, by amateurs. Those who are genuinely interested and are working with a blank canvas. An expert always has the picture and especially its boundaries, its frame already in mind, while the beginner has to learn all of that. And so she or he is much more open to experimenting or to just trying out things.
Yeah, that's very wise words. So, from embracing yourself in this learning experience, entrepreneurship, you found yourself in the corporate and you became really vocal about innovation, especially radical innovation in corporations. That's also where we reconnected during the Alter State initiative for a Nordic Baltic woman who wants to get into entrepreneurship. So, what's up with this radical innovation? Have we evolved during the last years and the last time we spoke about that? And why do you think many corporates actually are struggling to embrace it fully?
Yeah, so I think we have not advanced enough. And there's, I don't know if this is already a saying, but I'll actively say it. There is a huge risk of death by daily business. Because if you always do what you have done before, there's no real development in your company, in your product portfolio, in your offerings, even in your personality. but the things around you are changing. So, and they are changing more faster than ever, and also more heavily than ever. Just look at the recent developments that we have seen in artificial intelligence since the end of 2022. There has been leapfrogs almost on a monthly basis. This, of course, leads a lot of people and company to state, let's bend and wait. So they're just trying to watch until everything is over and then come back again. And that won't work. Yeah, and this, of course, then leads to demand for radical innovation. So you can't just keep on doing what you have done before. It won't work because there will be somebody else that will try to eat your cake. So I get an example, the business that I'm in the industry. So that's skincare. Now, what we've seen over the last years is that the large skincare companies are losing market shares. Only a bit, but they are losing market shares. But not against each other, but they're losing the market shares to the small indie and local brands, who in the meantime have, according to Nielsen, already 32% of global market share of the skincare business. They are growing at 15.7% CAGR, the large brands only at 9.9% CAGR. Yeah. And so you can't get a hold of one of them because all of them are microscopic small. Yeah? So there are more than 6,000 skincare brands on JD.com alone. Brands, not SKUs. So now imagine that impact on us large corporates. And we can't just sit back and wait until they have eaten more than half of our cake. And this, of course, leads to a necessity to not only do some relaunches and incremental innovation, but really to get your hands down and dirty and try to come up with radical innovation.
Okay. And what's the role of startups actually contributing in driving this innovation? Because it has been changing, right? It's not, we see less acquisitions, and what you mentioned in our previous conversation, we're shifting into more of this venture clienting role. What does that mean? And what does that mean for the future of startups who are actually working towards being, towards contributing to the growth of corporates?
Yeah. So I think that there are a couple of consequences that we have to take into account here. First of all, why is this happening? A lot of corporates like us have found out that corporate venture capital is a valid instrument once you see something that really has a strategic benefit to your business in the future. So what does that mean? It might be a new ingredient, a new process, or something that we can incorporate that will give us a competitive edge. A lot of things that startups have to offer don't fall into that category, but are just solving a problem or a challenge that we currently have. So for a lot of the startups in the AI sector, for example, that's specifically true. There's no added value in investing in them or in buying them for corporate like us, because we're not really interested in the financial gains. That's venture capital. Corporate venture capital is interested in the long-term benefit of the technology or the team that we are investing in. So this is why venture clienting, where you are explicitly looking for a specific solution in the startup field to solve your corporate business challenges, has become so popular over the past years. What does that mean for especially the startup ecosystem? First of all, I think it's slowing down the trend of, I have to build something to get venture capital. So no, why? In venture clienting, you have a huge opportunity to be better at bootstrapping, to really have paying clients from day one on and use that money to really invest in steadily but sustainably growing your business. Because venture capital, we know all the numbers, most of these hyper-scaling businesses fail, while the ones that take a more slower or steady route are usually not so much at the edge of failure. Also, they have a possibility of really becoming long-term profitable, and I believe that's a good thing.
Okay. And what would be your advice to someone from the founders looking to engage with a corporate partnership? So how do we find you, for example? Because we heard a lot that, we're gonna try some corporate partnerships, but kind of a lot of founders, they don't know how to approach, and then they're approaching them as investors. So how do you connect with the founders? Because you're the one who is spotting them.
So there are many ways, actually. So those corporates who already have a corporate venture clienting unit, that's pretty easy. Also, because those people are known, they are visible, they are accessible, and they will reach out to you as well. Maybe not directly, but via one of their suppliers. It's way more difficult if you don't have that on the corporate side, because then it's simply confusing for the founders or the sales team of these startups. Yeah, so look at the company that I'm working for. I think we have roughly 300 people here in Hamburg who have the title of marketing manager on their business cards. So good luck finding the right one here. So that is why my advice always is to connect. So go to all the startup meetup events or demo days or whatever you can get hold of. And there are in every city that I know, there are dozens of them, because this is actually where you build your network. A network is key to success.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you talk to people who are not possibly your client, they will have their connections as well. And once they talk to other peers that might have the problem, there is, I just met Seville and she has something great to offer. So, and this is really what is very often underestimated by founders. So I see a lot of startup founders who go to these events even, but then stay among themselves. So they're just in this small closed group, and then they go back and wonder, I have met nobody. I said, yeah, guess why? Because you weren't open, you weren't approaching people. I mean, why are we corporates there? Not because it gets free drinks and some snacks. So that's not really the reason why we go there. It's nice, but not the reason. It's because we want to know what's happening. We want to learn new people. And that is, I think, something that founders have to be aware of. Even if you approach somebody and you give your elevator pitch and it's totally irrelevant for them, that's not a problem, because that was a clarifying exercise. It took you a minute to find out, okay, no, there's no match. But do that 10 times and you will have at least one match. And this is how you do your business. Not spam mail people or hit 100,000 profiles on LinkedIn or whatever. So
that doesn't work.
No.
So when you go to the conference, how do you plan your program?
So I look for side events. So this is really literally the first thing that I do, look for side events. And then, of course, I do look, okay, what are the interesting topics that I'm interested in? Set apart that time. And the rest of the time, try to find out, okay, where are people here mingling? Also, where's, like when we met in that hallway or something. Just being there, being approachable, and just talking randomly to people. And this is so easy. So how do you like the conference so far? It's a great opener. So, or what are you expecting here? Great opener. And so then you can directly dive into a quick chit chat and find out if there's anything more worth collecting.
Okay. Yeah, 100%. So Dirk, as someone who has been meeting over your experience, plenty of founders, working in the field yourself in different roles, being part now of a huge innovation department and doing a lot of scouting. Tell us, what patterns have you noticed when it comes to a successful founder or a successful company?
For founders, think the major have no personality trait that they have that sets apart the successful ones from the not so successful ones is empathy. It's really funny, but it's empathy. Empathy doesn't necessarily mean being soft. It just means really understanding your partner, the one who you are talking to. You understand their motives. You can literally feel like how it is walking in their shoes, which then leads to a lot of consequences. First of all is you don't talk about your product. You talk about the problem that you're going to solve, the problem that the other person or party has. That is one thing. Secondly, you are empathic enough to understand what are the barriers there. So you're not needlessly pushing when you know, okay, that guy is working a corporate, he has to do a gazillion alignment meetings before there will anything happen. So, which is also true. Also, you have the empathy to your team. So how do you keep them motivated? How do you keep the vision alive? How do you keep on being a good example, a role model? So because I've met a lot of founders who lack that, who believe they are the king of the hill, everything is just circling around them, which is not true, and they can't do everything better than else. That's always my advice. hire people that are better than you. Because if you hire B people, you will get a C Corp. So that's pretty damn sure. If you hire A people that are better than you will have more time to focus on what really matters. You can focus on developing yourself, developing your people, which also requires, again, empathy.
Yeah.
So I think this is the one path to success. And empathy is needed everywhere, to clients, to suppliers, to investors, you name it, you get it.
All right. So we've just got to know that good people is essential, A players. What about the ideas? You mentioned that we need more focus on the bad ideas, and we
Yeah.
kind of to bring them bring them back. So what's the power of those bad ideas? Can you elaborate your approach?
Yeah, sure. So I firmly believe that there is no such thing as a bad idea. It might seem bad, but only in its given context. That context might be anything, might be the business field, might be timing, might be feasibility or technology, might be a viability target, whatever. That makes the idea seem bad. Now, given that, we all know what happens with ideas. Some we try out, but most of them we just put in a drawer and lock them away. So once they died, we lock them away and we never touch them again. And that is where I believe we're doing heavily wrong and where we're literally leaving billions of money just rotting in our drawers. So that is why I came up with an idea. And that is inspired by Mexican holidays. Maybe you know the Dia de los Muertos, the Dia de
Okay.
Muertos, the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
This rounds All Hallows Eve, where the Mexicans come together and they celebrate their dead ancestors, because they believe that only if you have forgotten somebody, that person really disappears. Other than that, she or he is not really gone. And so they put pictures of their deceased ancestors on posts and altars, and they put their favorite food and they celebrate them. So now let's do that with dead ideas. Find any company or startup or anything and just bring people to a point where you say, okay, please show me your most beloved dead ideas. And then you just have a one-pager, print out a picture whatsoever, and then you start to celebrate those dead ideas. I bet, first of all, many of those ideas seen in a new light or in a new time will not look that bad anymore. Somebody will say, oh, wow, yeah, we had that idea 5 years ago, then it was a bad idea, but now it seems like a good idea because the world and the technology has changed or our business has changed. Secondly, most definitely, there will be ideas that will spark new solutions. Yeah, thinking about that, that seems to fit to my current problem. I just have to tweak it a bit or combine it. And so the third thing, that is almost the most important one, is the effect on your innovation culture. Why? Because so far, having a bad idea or having an idea that died feels bad from the outside and from the inside. So hollow and frustrated and just, I failed. So now getting afterwards the appreciation that you just had this idea, that you are a creative person, that you are putting out ideas, no matter the result, is something that will lift you up and therefore lift up the whole innovation culture, because everybody else will see it. Oh, wow, yeah, having ideas, even if they don't get to life, is a cool idea. And this is why I believe that most companies should focus more on their dead ideas. So I bet you have a ton of ideas in your drawer, don't you?
Yeah, I do have, and there is one that I've been postponing, and it's time to work on. So, yeah, I'll bring it back this week now, since I'm after vacation. It's time to bring it back. Yeah. But I do believe it's also about the right timing, right? There is no bad idea. It's about the right place to launch it with the right people, with the right environment, to adjust to the right market. It's the same like with exercising. There is no bad exercise movement. It's about, is it right for you and your current stage, right? So that's where I find this connection.
Yeah, this is exactly what I call context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I look at my first startup, besides the sucking of technology,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things was we were too early. So that was a matter of timing, because nobody had done that before. It was putting up vending machines at airports back in 1996 with a multimedia interface.
Mm-hmm.
So when we asked, for example, for a bank loan, the bankers all said, Okay, yeah. What guarantees do you have that this works? We don't. It's new. So yeah, then show us, please, an example of a business that's alike. We can't. It's new. Nobody has done it before. And so this was like of a vicious circle of them asking us to give proof where we said, no, we can't because it's new. And also that is context.
Yeah.
It's always easier to build on something that's already there. So build the Airbnb for, I don't know. So this is why this is a standard pitch approach.
Do you, when founders come to you and pitch, this is Airbnb for skincare, do you buy it?
No,
I mean,
usually not.
I don't know. I think I heard so many pitches where, oh, we are Uber for this. We are Airbnb. It was like, no, please get more original.
Yeah,
Don't do
exactly.
that. Don't do that. Why?
Yeah. This is why. That is one of the major flaws that I see in the lean startup school. Yeah, because there you are taught to do that, and I just say, yeah, that might help people to imagine what you're doing. That might be interesting, but only to VCs. But everybody else who is interested in a unique solution will buy it.
But even the VCs are not looking that positively when you're comparing and trying to be like someone else, right? It's more like, okay, so what problem you're actually solving? Where is the story? I think we forget how important the storytelling is when it comes to that, right? And you're a fan of it, actually.
Yeah. Storytelling is so important. I think that is, beside empathy, the most underrated, most important skill that you can have. A good friend of mine who's a pitch coach, he goes by the motto of everything is pitch. And that's true. Yeah. So the way you behave, the way how you build your stories, the way how you introduce yourself. And so I see a lot of founders who start immediately talking about their technology, which bores the hell out of me, because there's absolutely nothing I can connect to. So give me something that I connect to, a personal story, a problem that you have seen or encountered. Or we said, I encountered that, or I saw that, and that sucks. And here I thought, how can we solve that? Then you got me. And that's storytelling, basically.
So how can someone start? What's the top 3 secret ingredients for a good story?
I don't know. It's just a personal connection. Really, just without having anything business-wise into it. So just be aware of the situation that you both are in and build a connection on that. Or just ask the other one, are you here for the first time? So it's super old. It's not very original, but it's still working because that establishes a connection between you two. So
give, ask. Well, it's easy. It's easy as long as it's not right. Because when you come, especially if you're a first-time founder or someone who just comes first time in the conference, your adrenaline is high. You're like kind of hard to hold yourself strong. You want everyone to know about your idea, and you think that it's the best idea, and nobody else is doing that. So it comes, I think, through also experience, years, and practice. But we should not forget the human side of that.
And actually, if you are lucky to encounter a certain kind of corporate animal, those will be very forgiving, even if you do all these first-time founder mistakes, because most of us have been there once or twice in our lives. And so this is also on corporate side, you need that empathy. So this is why when somebody approaches me with a shitty pitch, it's not that I just give them the boot and turn my back and walk away. It's always that I offer to give them some advice to do that better. I outright ask them, why are you not approaching me like this? And giving them an example. So mentoring is, I think, one of the most important ingredients of any startup. So get yourself 1 or 2 good mentors.
How to do that? How do you find a good mentor?
Usually you find them also at these events because you have to be there in person. You can't do that from a LinkedIn profile. Why not? Because mentoring is heavily relying on interpersonal chemistry. And that it involves so many factors, like how does the other people move? How does she or he subconsciously smell? This is always a decisive factor for humans, has ever been. And all these things. And if you have this chemistry, then of course, the next step is to check out, okay, what can I learn from that person? What has she or he as unique experiences? And don't go for those who have only successes in their story. It's boring as hell. You can't learn anything from success because success is unique to you. Seville will have another success story than Dirk has. Definitely.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, Dirk, talking about the success and this whole story, we're getting closer to the end, but I still would like to ask you a couple of questions. So one of them would be about innovation. So what's the most, let's say, surprising thing you've learned about innovation over the years?
What was the most surprising thing? Most surprising for me was that innovation management has nothing to do with creativity.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah. That's interesting because innovation managing is really bringing ideas, usually of other people, to life.
Mhm.
So it's more like construction work, yeah, following processes, doing calculations and then bringing together people, but not being original or creative. That is one small part in the whole innovation game. And that was something, since I have started my career in advertising, and I was a creative director at a large network advertising agency back in the 90s of the last century. I always thought, creativity is what drives things. No, those people who can recognize and then transform creativity into business, that is what drives us forward.
is that something you're covering in your upcoming book? And you mentioned that you just wrote a chapter about innovation. So when can we
Also,
expect to read it and what are you working on?
Yeah. So the book is already out. It's called in German Modern Innovation Management, Modernes Innovationsmanagement. And it's a collection from different authors. I'm one of them. And my chapter is about why don't we have a specified approach, which innovation instrument is the right one to choose for a specific innovation activity. What I mean by that. So when you look at innovation instruments, there are only 12. Like an innovation lab or an entrepreneurship program, corporate venture capital, yada, yada, yada. And you can easily divide them into a matrix where you have the time horizon on the y-axis and the source of the innovation, so inside out or outside in on the x-axis. And then you have, of course, instruments like mergers and acquisitions, M&A, buying another company. They're super short term, but it's completely outside in. On the same completely outside in is corporate venture capital, but that takes quite some time. So that is horizon 3. On the other hand, if you want to do something totally intern and you want to have it short term, then you have either a task force or an entrepreneurship program. So, and I've built a system where you can just approach these topics by asking a couple of simple questions, ranking them. It's not even rocket science. And finally come to the conclusion, for that innovation initiative, we have to go with venture building or whatever. And that is so helpful because it has not done before. And so the corporates usually just use what they think might be okay or what they have at hand. So, and that's not
Okay,
good.
nice. Is it also available in English or is it all in German?
I think not yet.
Okay.
Usually those publishers they look how the sales are doing in Germany, and if they are good enough, then they will start translating that.
Okay.
But I know that you can buy these chapters also online.
Yeah.
And then you should have a PDF that is, of course, translatable.
Yeah. AI power.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we're going to leave the links in the description
Yeah.
and people can check after the episode. So, Dirk, I have this tradition in the podcast where every guest leaves our audience with a question to ponder on. What would be your question to anyone who is listening right now for this episode?
Yeah. What if your dead ideas is absolutely worth revisiting?
Oh, bingo. Thank you so much. That's great. And where can people follow your journey?
On LinkedIn, that's always the easiest. I'm currently a bit more active than usual. Some of my postings are in German, forgive me that, but most of them are in English. So
Amazing.
and it's simply LinkedIn/Dirk Ploss, DERPLOSS. That's me.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Dirk. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had today Dirk Ploss, our innovator. You can follow more about him on LinkedIn. And he is, a traveler who goes to the conferences, delivers keynotes. So if you end up in the same conference, go listen to the keynote, say hi. And thank you, everyone who joined us today. And thank you so much for finding time.
Thanks for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Hey, have a great day, everyone.
Okay. See ya.